Before I get into today's lesson, I want to show you this. Hopefully avoid some common mistakes. What's 2 times 4? 8 over 2. What is 8 over 2? 4, right? So when you're multiplying, you can cancel those. You end up with a 4, which is the answer, right? Multiply, yes, you can cancel. But adding, what is 2 plus 13? 15 over 2, what is that, about 7.5? If I cancel those 2's, I end up with a 13. Is 13 equal to 7.5? No. And a lot of people, when they're doing these, they want to cancel those 2's. When it's adding, you cannot. You can't just cancel out the 2's when it's adding. You can do it when it's multiply. Multiplying, it works to take out a factor of 2. But with adding, it doesn't work. This doesn't work. So canceling is okay for multiplying, but not okay for adding. Is that a question or you just? Okay. Does that make sense? So whenever you're going to cancel something, think to yourself, is it multiplying or is it adding? If it's multiplying, I can cancel it. If it's adding, I cannot, right? So we're going to cancel, or we're going to simplify stuff like this. Now think about what I just said. If it's multiplying, you can cancel. If it's adding, you cannot. Because here's what people always want to do. They always want to cross off these 3 A's. But it's adding. You cannot cancel unless it's multiplying. So we're going to have to find another way to simplify this. And it starts with the F word, factoring. So on top, we're going to have to factor. And remember, the first kind of factoring we started with was taking out something that's common. Is there anything in common to these? What goes into both of those? 3. If I take out the 3, what's left? 3 times what is 6? So on top, don't I really have this? If you multiply that back out, you get 3A and you get a 6. So you know you factored it right. On bottom, we're going to do the same thing. What's common to both of these?
3.
And then what's left here?
A.
Plus 3. So I take out a 3 and an A plus B left. Now what can you do? Is this 3 times the rest of this? Yes. Is this 3 times the rest of it? Yes. So what can you do if it's 3 times? Now you can cancel these, right? So what's left? A plus 2 on top and an A plus B on the bottom. If you want to put them in parentheses, you can, but you don't have to. But that's the simplified version. Doesn't look that simple, but that's what it is, simplified. Could I go back and cancel out those A's? Just shake your head. Could I cross off these A's? No, because it's adding, right? This is A plus 2, A plus B. It's adding. Can't cancel if it's adding. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Oh, let's do another one just for fun. Oops, I screwed it up. I screwed it up already. Remember in the last chapter when I said you're going to need to be able to factor? Yeah. So as it is, there's nothing that you can cancel, but on top you need to factor. The bottom is already factored for you, so we'll leave that alone. Top, do you remember how to factor an x squared minus 9 when there's no middle term? What times what is x squared? Oh, and by the way, first, is there anything in common to those? No. So that's why we're moving to the two parentheses. What times what is x squared? X. What about that 9? If there's no middle term, it's got to be the 3 and 3. And how do you get a negative? What times what is negative? One of each. Positive times negative gives us negative. Now do you see? It's this whole thing times this whole thing. It's this whole thing times this whole thing. What can you do? Since I'm canceling this whole thing, I can cross off the whole chunk because it's that thing times the other one. So I can cross it off, x plus 3, x plus 3. Remember, top and bottom, you have to cross off things that are the same. And so what's left? X minus 3 on top, and the 2x plus 1 on the bottom. Could we cross off those x's? No, because it's x plus and x minus, right? It's got to be times in order to cross it off. So that would be your simplified version. A lot of times the simplified version doesn't look that simple, but that's what it would be. Does that make sense a little bit? Make sense? So really we're factoring and canceling. We're factoring and canceling. So if you can factor, then you should be able to do this, right? How about something like this one? I'll give you a minute to think. How about something like that? The top you can't really factor, right? It's only one term already. The bottom Is there anything in common to both of those? What do they have in common? What's in both? Right, X. What else? Right, they have an X and a Y common to both of those. Just one, right? There's only one Y. So let's take out an X and a Y. I had two X's, I took one out, one left, yes? One Y, took it out, so I don't have any Y's left. What else? I had an X, I took it out, so there's none left. I have two Y's, Y squared. I took one out, so one left. Yes? So this bottom thing factors into xy times x minus y. Now what? Can I cancel? Are you breathing? Is it this thing times this thing times this thing? This times this times this? Can I cross off those x's then? Yes, because it's all times. I can cross off x over x, and I can also cross off the y over y. So what's left? Just the 2 on top, and on bottom I have x minus y. You can put it in parentheses if you want, but you don't have to. It's up to you. Does that make sense? So sometimes you'll be able to take out letters. Over here you took out numbers. Over here you had to factor into the two kinds of the quantities. You know, the two quantities, right? Do you have questions? Do you think you get it? It's mostly just going to be factoring and then canceling. And the only thing you have to remember is it's got to be times in order to cancel it. It can't be adding, it's got to be times. Yes? That's the most important thing to remember, because that's a common mistake I see all the time. You think you have it? Questions? You want to see about 38 more of them, or you think you have it? Well, I guess you'll know once you start working, right? Would that be page? That's not page 262, right? Oh boy. Huh, I think I have a problem. Well, anyway, I'm on page 248. We'll go 248. We'll go 248, 1 to 12. No, 1 to 11. 248, 249, 1 through 11. Page 248, 249, WE, 1 through 11. $18. How about 18 and 20?